In order to tell you today's story, we have to go all the way back to the 1800s, to Santa Fe, New Mexico. There's a relic there that's shrouded in mystery, the staircase at Loretto Chapel. Well, it's really more like three mysteries that surround the magnificent spiral staircase: the identity of its builder, the type of wood used, and the physics of its construction. In 1853, 7 nuns would travel to Santa Fe, New Mexico to open a school for girls. The bishop of the Santa Fe archdiocese, Jean-Baptiste Lamy, would eventually commission a chapel to be built too, but construction wouldn't start on it for another 20 years. It would be named Our Lady of Light, and the Sisters of Loretto would maintain it. This is where the legend of the Loretto Chapel staircase begins, and ever since, people from all over the world have been flocking to the church to get a peek at the chapel stairs. First off, the Our Lady of Light Chapel is stunning. It was designed by French architect Antoine Mouly and built in that incredible Gothic style that was popular of the time. Nearing completion in 1878, the architect unfortunately wouldn't live to see it through. He left just one thing unfinished: a way to access the choir loft 22 feet above. And he didn't tell anyone how he planned to get the choir up to the loft either. Carpenters were called in to address the problem. You see, a standard staircase was ruled too large for the size of the chapel. As you can see, the chapel is tall and rather narrow. A ladder was suggested, but the sisters quickly dismissed the idea due to their attire. Understandable. I can't imagine it would be easy to climb a ladder wearing a habit. And remember, the loft was 22 feet high. For anybody that doesn't know, a nun's uniform is called a habit. Now, of course, the look can vary, but the attire is generally comprised of a habit, which covers the head and neck, a bib collar, a veil, a gown or tunic, a crucifix on a chain, a belt, and a rosary and cross. Imagine using a simple ladder to climb up there. No, thank you. I'm not climbing a ladder up there wearing jeans and boots, let alone a habit. Every carpenter they consulted said the same thing. Access to the loft would have to be with a ladder. For 2 years, the chapel sat incomplete until 1880, when the Sisters of Loretto would begin praying to St. Joseph, the patron saint of carpenters, for a solution to the chapel stairs. They were steadfast and unwavering in their belief that somebody could build a staircase for their chapel. The sisters made a novena, a series of prayers that are said for 9 days straight. And would you believe it? On the 9th and final day of prayer, there was a knock on the chapel doors. Standing there was an elderly man with a mule and a toolbox. He was there to build their staircase. After assessing the situation like so many other carpenters had done before him, he said that it would be possible to construct a staircase to the loft without taking away seating from the congregation. The only condition he had was that he insisted on working alone inside the chapel by himself. Nobody would see him work on the staircase. And 3 months later, their beautiful circular staircase was complete. The sisters were so pleased with how it turned out, they wanted to host a banquet in honor of the carpenter who was able to help them officially finish their chapel. But just as suddenly as he had arrived, it seemed like he had vanished. He never asked for nor received payment for his labor or even the supplies he used. The Sisters of Loretto set out to find their mystery carpenter, who at no time during his work so much as identified himself. The sisters asked anyone and everyone about the mysterious craftsman. They even ran an ad in the local newspaper. Nobody knew who he was. The sisters visited the only lumber yard in town to find out how much they owed in materials and supplies, but there weren't any open accounts. In fact, the man never got any materials or supplies from them at all during the 3-month project. Was the mysterious carpenter St. Joseph himself? Some believe so, including the sisters. In the early 2000s, historian Mary Cook believes she had discovered the builder who constructed the staircase. In her research of documents related to the chapel, she found an entry in the nun's daybook dated 1881, which indicated they paid a man named Rocas $150 for wood. Mary suggests that it was made by Francois Rocas, a skilled craftsman and artisan, but he never stepped forward to take credit for the work. We know Rocas didn't make the railings. You see, when the staircase was first built, it had no railings at all. It was said many of the nuns and students who climbed it were so afraid of falling, they'd crawl up the stairs. Not gonna lie, I'd also be terrified using those stairs without a railing. Yeah, there's no telling how many times I would have fallen. Railings were added on after to help. Let's talk about the staircase itself. The design was not only innovative for the time, some of it still perplexes experts today. The staircase was built with a double helix shape, which includes two 360-degree turns, yet it has no central column or support beams, and it appears that all the weight is self-supported at the base. The carpenter didn't use nails, glue, or screws, only wooden pegs to secure the steps. And despite the two 360-degree turns, there are only 33 steps. What makes that even more intriguing is that the number 33 is a significant number. It was the age of Jesus when he was crucified. The number is also sacred to the Freemasons, who are thought to be descendants of the Knight Templars. Could that be a clue as to who built the stairway? The Templars often found ways to utilize the number in their work, a concept deeply rooted in Templar tradition. The construction of the staircase defies all conventional construction practices.
Not a single engineer or civil engineer on the planet has been able to explain it.
The lumber that was used was a conundrum itself. It wasn't indigenous to the Santa Fe area. A modern analysis of the lumber revealed the wood to be a form of Picea spruce. But get this, it didn't match up with any other Picea spruce known to science. And according to chapel curator Richard Lindsley, it doesn't match up with any other like it on Earth. Incredible. It's believed that the closest possible source for the wood of this type would have been somewhere like Alaska. Of course, these days that wouldn't be a big deal, but back then it sure was. How was he able to build this incredible staircase with simple, primitive tools, no electricity, and no one to help him? Today, master carpenters who've been consulted on the staircase consider it a work of art. Even using modern tools, building the structure would still be quite an accomplishment. Now, earlier we talked about the double helix shape of the staircase and how it had no central column or support beam. The helix itself is not a stable weight-supporting structure, and without a middle column, it shouldn't be able to withstand the weight of people using it. Well, the chapel curator invited a world-renowned physicist to come and have a look. The physicist believed that it was the double helix design that gave the stairs its inner strength. There are so many questions and so many unknown answers. The only thing we do know is that the Sisters of Loretto prayed, and their prayers were answered. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Have you been to the Loretto Chapel and seen the staircase for yourself? Let me know what it was like. I think that might be something I'm adding to my bucket list. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up so I know. And hey, while you're at it, consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on the next investigation.